Watching why do Europeans
Questions
dislike
about
Americans so
how
much?
Europeans see Americans. I'm asking questions about how Europeans see Americans.
I think it's
After that, I'm gonna play City Skylines.
third world country with a lot of money. Very negative.
Very negative.
Yeah, I don't see anything positive about America.
I think they're a bit stupid.
True.
American TikTokers, they earn too much money with what they do. Like in Belgium, we have to work for our money and they just make videos and that's it.
Oh my God.
You know, I
True.
might be completely wrong about this, but I think it was a little bit cooler to be American when I was a kid.
No, it wasn't. It was not. It was never cool. Everyone always thought it was dog shit. There was never a moment in American history where people are like, maybe like World War II, I think. But like, that's it, pretty much. Like shortly after, I thought you were a Marabou. I am an Marabou. I'm an Marabou for American culture. Okay? And even though I was an Marabou for American culture, I still absolutely had disdain for the American foreign policy. It wasn't like when I was younger, I was like, oh man, it's so sick that like America's war on terror is awesome. You know what I mean? I still thought that Americans were gross piglets who fucking defended a violent institution, and they were bloodthirsty barbarians that actually outsourced the barbarism to like their poorest as they sat home sitting on their fucking couches and consuming jalapeno poppers and eating Oreos. Okay? Which is kind of true. I wasn't wrong on that, and that opinion has been consistent. I think people just think diners are cozy. No, like people do actually think American pop culture is fun to consume. Everybody knows that. But ultimately, my assumption from a broader snapshot before living here was that a lot of Americans are like really fucking horrifyingly Islamophobic, which was true for back then especially. Anyway, that is the case though. That part has been consistent. Let's watch.
Hi guys! Hi guys!
I've lived in Europe for several years now, and look, I've romanticized this continent quite a bit. I really like living here. But there's a funny feeling that I cannot shake, and I think it has to do with how Europeans view Americans, or how Europeans view me when they discover that I'm American. And it's not entirely positive. This feeling has not gone away even though I've been here for a few years now. And it's
I mean, automatically, like 8 different fucking photos that he just showed, 8 different B-roll images that he showed, including the one where he's on a fucking train, is like part of the reason why Europe and many European nations clear America, and probably every American city, as a matter of fact.
It's not hatred, it's more like negative undertones, offhand comments or jokes that are made, and it makes me feel not very cool.
I mean, I'll take it one step further. The reason why the European Eurocucks fucking have so much disdain for America is because of the underlying feeling that they have in their heart of hearts. Yes, we have a decent quality of life, except the reality is that our politicians are still dogs to the American institutions, and they are just as responsible for the same exact forms of oppression. And, you know, we are, in many respects, completely incapable of having any kind of autonomy. So there is that. There is that reality, okay? That's just the truth. And that's why the joke is that Americans, when they travel, say they're Canadian.
And by the way, I recognize not all Europeans dislike Americans. That is a massive generalization. But I'm bringing this up because it's been enough of a trend for me to confidently talk about this as something that's really happening in the world.
Yeah. I mean, of course, my city has the biggest NSA base outside of the US.
I don't think it's just in my head. It just seems like when it comes to Europeans' view of Americans, there's a lot to dislike. I don't necessarily entirely disagree. I
don't dislike Americans, and I am European. Sorry, but I don't follow these Russian propaganda narratives. Please tell me that was a joke, chatter, you fucking asshole. Oh my God, I hope that was a joke. That was a joke, right? Come on. That's a really funny joke. Please say it's a joke. Because at the top of the hour, there's a through and ad break, and that's not a fucking joke. And you will no longer be able to see those You will no longer be able to have an ad-free broadcasting experience unless you subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. Yeah, that's right. It's no joke, actually. If you get gifted a sub, you can also avoid it. MB Chaos, thank you for the 5. A bit flippant. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Allowing fen people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. So let me see the ads. Okay, he's not joking.
I
He's
have
serious.
plenty of my own criticisms about the United States and the way of life over
Bro, this guy literally is like, he's like an influencer that, I mean, I like him immediately. He's like an influencer that goes to Japan and then compares everything to America, but he's doing it for like Belgium, which I didn't realize people made content like that.
over there. And I think that all places, all societies merit criticism. That's how we get better. So this applies to everyone. But there's something deeper going on here that I want to explore. On a personal level, my own identity as American, but also the identity of Americans on the global stage. We don't live in a bubble, and it turns out the whole world has opinions about us. Now, I have my own theories about what's going on here, but I thought I'd get to the root of the matter and ask Europeans themselves.
It makes me a little bit nervous talking to strangers, but I'm just gonna go for it.
What are the stereotypes?
That's a good question.
Bah moi, quand je pense aux Américains, je pense à la bouffe et tout.
Dans quel sens? Le fast-food?
Ouais,
Ok.
parce que McDo. Ouais.
McDo.
Ouais,
ok.
hamburger et tout.
Mais les Français adorent McDo.
Oui, bah, on y était il y a 2 minutes. Quoi.
Donc c'est pas forcément négatif ça.
Non, ah, non.
Ok.
Mais c'est l'image.
Actually, I like Americans because they are like very chilled. America is like so expensive for good food. Like for like fruits and all this fresh stuff, it's like so expensive.
J'ai deux visions un peu.
Ok.
Bro, you should describe food deserts. What the fuck?
J'ai la version où ils sont trop cool et tout, et la version vraiment le beauf américain.
Do you think the stereotypes about Americans are true?
Kind of. I have a classmate that is American, and we are talking like about our traditional foods. And the American was like, my typical food is hamburger, ice cream, like the McDonald's one. And we are like, oh, so McDonald's is your typical food? She was like, yeah, kind of.
Could I just take a couple minutes to ask you a couple questions? It's okay if you don't have time, it's fine. Okay, all good. Have a nice day. The Americans don't have time for me. That's kind of funny. Would you mind if I asked you a couple questions?
Yeah.
Polarized. Extremely polarized.
Yeah. More than the Netherlands.
Much more.
Feel younger people feel the same way or differently about American?
I think even stronger.
Even stronger?
I think they
Okay.
Dude, the Netherlands is so weird. I've never met an entire country that speaks perfect English like they live in fucking Santa Barbara or something. It's so weird, dude. It's so weird. It is so fucking weird, bro. And the reason for why, as a matter of fact, and by the way, you know, fans of the show already fucking know. Amsterdam, one of my favorite places immediately in Europe. I asked them why, and it's the same reason why I don't have a fucking accent. It's because apparently their TV does not have dubs. Possibly because they have like 8 different fucking languages. Of course, you love brothels. Yeah, that's why I love Amsterdam, because I love brothels. That's what I do. I travel to places for brothels. Why would I do that when I fuck your mom every night, you dumb bitch? Suck my dick. Dude, literally, just be like 11 notches less mentally ill, please. Oh my God. Like, holy fuck, dude. Jesus Christ. Anyway, as I was saying, they don't have dubs. So everything is in like original English with subtitles, which is precisely the reason why I don't have an accent, because I watched everything in English.
Stronger. Yeah, the older people, I feel maybe thinking of the World War II and World War One, in which the Americans did a very good job by helping, because Europe was not doing very well.
Yeah.
Ils connaissent que ce qui se passe dans leur pays, j'ai l'impression.
Parce que enfermés sur eux-mêmes.
C'est-à-dire
que c'est pas contre eux, mais qu'ils s'intéressent pas trop aux autres pays.
They know about their own country, but not about like other stuff in the world. They're overrated.
They're overrated? How? Like, they receive too much attention?
Too much hype.
Too much
On
hype.
the internet.
Are you also German?
Yes, I am.
And in Germany, you feel like German people have a positive view of Americans? Or
Not really.
no?
I think
Okay, so more negative.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you feel that there's been a change at all in terms of how Americans are viewed, like in the last 10, 15 years?
I think so, yes. Especially due to the Trump and the Tea
Yeah.
Party things happening.
Yeah.
It got more polarized and that makes
Like, can you imagine knowing this level of like deep knowledge about another country's politics? Like, why the fuck does this Dutch lady know about the Tea Party? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. I mean, of course, it's ironic that I am saying this when I also have a, relatively sizable European audience that tunes in every fucking day to watch me shit on the United States of America on a daily basis, because everyone has to pay attention to our politics because we are the crazy guy with the biggest gun in the room and we run the fucking show. We're like, hey, better listen to me. You don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I got a gun. That's usually what America is like.
made it more negative in my view.
There's more that I'd like to say about why I believe this dynamic is happening, why Europeans see Americans in this way. But before I do, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is BetterHelp. And look, therapy. All right, time for me to share some of my own personal theories here. Here's why I think it was maybe a little bit cooler to be American in the past. I was born in the 90s, maybe like some of you. And back in the 90s, it's not like the United States, or the world for that matter, didn't have its problems. It definitely did. You're not gonna get any of that classic, nostalgic, those were the days kind of thing from me. But one thing I think we can all agree on is that back in the 90s, the internet had not yet completely taken over our lives like it has now. And in my view, the internet feels like it's taken whatever problems already existed and made them bigger and louder. That might actually be what the internet is best at, the fast transmission of ideas and information, which in turn amplifies them. And there's another thing that the internet is really good at, which is that it is a canvas for less curated or filtered versions of that information or ideas. There are less gatekeepers, so anyone can say anything. My theory is that as time has gone on, and as the internet has played a bigger and bigger role in our lives, the world has been exposed to a less curated version of the United States. You know, you had movies and TV and pop music reaching the entire world, but it wasn't like it is today with social media and even the news reaching so many more people. Now,
yeah, I think the internet paired up with America's war on terror, which just fucking ruined the planet. I mean, straight up, America's war on terror, and how accessible America's crimes were and how much America manipulated the planet, basically really created an environment of hostility. And what I mean by that is that I think that American pop culture for a very long time was able to manipulate people. But when the internet came around, or when the internet became super accessible, all of a sudden you could kind of see through the pop culture. Like you saw the good, and not only the good, but also the bad. You know what I mean? Why do you keep talking shit about our freedoms? Yeah. The irony, of course, is that Americans don't even fucking like America. Most Americans in this chat, at least, because it sucks.
you know, you had movies and TV and pop music reaching the entire world, but it wasn't like it is today with social media and even the news reaching so many more people. Nowadays, it feels like you cannot escape the news about the mass shootings that are constantly happening in the US or the insane election cycles. I think in some ways, the internet might have taken away some of our innocence, right? Some of our naivete. As a result, even more curated versions of culture, like the highly produced TV shows and movies, are reflecting the things that we're seeing. The unintelligent or simple American is a very believable archetype and not a new one. You've got at least one and often more than one character.
Okay, that's not an archetype, it's the truth, okay? That's literally what happens when you have a hostile terror cell leading one side of the, leading 50% of the political conversation and dominating even when they're in minority positions, where they eviscerate the limited amount of public funding that our school systems get, okay? while the other side is also playing a role, but from the supposed left in doing that very same thing. Like, I genuinely don't think the average American is all that smart. I don't think that the average American is all that intelligent. It's partially because, like, they don't have to be, because everything is, like, basically on autopilot. We are the ones who reap the rewards the most of being in the Imperial Core, even though that reality is slowly but surely changing. But, like, it's hard. It's hard to fucking justify to the rest of the world that, like, oh, we are intelligent people when you have more guns than citizens, and everyone keeps going, no, we got to have more guns, actually. Like, when you hear about mass shootings. To the outsider looking in, you're like, what the fuck is going on there? Like, are you guys okay? What kind of fucking stupid brain dead shit is this? And that's just one issue. Okay, that's before we get to like the lack of adequate social safety nets, low funds for public education, and utilizing most of our resources in feeding this endless bloodthirsty imperialist war machine. It's just like, it's very stupid. It looks like a lot of people are just advocating against their best interest in this country, and many are. As a matter of fact, many are advocating against their best interest routinely, regularly. Think about that. We don't have health care, and there are people right now in the United States of America, plenty of people who advocate against health care. Like, they say, no, who's going to pay for it? I mean, come on, man.
That perfectly fits that archetype in pretty much all American sitcoms, from Friends to How I Met Your Mother. And there are plenty of shows that play off of this very intentionally. I think of South Park and Family Guy and The Simpsons. And internationally, the contrast is even more stark. And it might just be me, but it does feel like the perception of Americans is deteriorating. I mean, I'm thinking about shows like Emily in Paris or The White Lotus. The White Lotus in particular blew me away because it felt so believable, and oftentimes in a very depressing way. Clearly, Americans are not known for being refined or in touch with reality. This is particularly true of wealthy Americans. And why wouldn't Europeans feel this way? We are famously terrible at learning foreign languages. To many, we're seen as living in our own giant bubble.
A lot of people beforehand used to think like the US was like very cool and this really lovely place to go to, but I feel like everyone just thinks it's dangerous and that they don't care about their citizens. There's all these shootings going on, like their healthcare is horrible, their schooling's horrible.
So there's been a change.
I think it's always been like that. I think there's a change now because like social media is is making it more apparent.
America used to be, like the American dream, like a lot of them used to be a big thing. Like gun crime is getting like publicized a lot more, so I think like the narrative is changing a little bit.
Je vois l'Amérique comme une grande puissance mondiale et je les vois comme des capitalistes. En fait, si t'as de l'argent, tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, y a personne pour t'aider. Marche ou crève.
In France, we say the Americans are big and fat, but I have America with the friends, the salary friends.
Donc il y a des côtés positifs et des côtés négatifs.
Ouais, c'est ça exactement. Globalement, les gens pensent ça, mais en même temps, tout le monde va à New York et tout le monde va aller aux États-Unis.
Ouais, d'accord, ok.
C'est ça en fait, ouais. Ils ont des préjugés.
This is common attitude because it still is, I think, like reinforcing the hyper-capitalist, hyper-individualist, pro-American lifestyle that you see on TV. I myself felt this, you know what I mean? Where you were like, oh yeah, I want to go to America. I want to fucking live the American dream, you know what I mean? That's it. That's what it is. Even this wee baguette, it has that same attitude.
Mais en même temps, c'est quand même un rêve d'y aller.
J'étais absolument ulcérée quand Trump était au pouvoir. De voir le comportement de cet homme, ça donne pas envie d'aller forcément dans ces conditions-là. Le fait que les gens soient très très armés, j'ai l'impression que je me sentirais pas en sécurité.
Most people love Canadians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you clarify you're a Canadian, they're like,
yeah. You're like, oh, Canada, where are you from in Canada?
For me, it's like a lot about the money, like the times I went to New York and it's like, winners and losers and, you gotta make it and you gotta make loads of money and la 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 and then like if you don't have money you're like basically fucked. I would say extremes.
Extremes.
It's like an extreme, country, like very very rich, very very poor.
Right.
eat very much, eat very, very, very healthy, like extreme healthy, extreme, like XXXL and McDonald's, whatever.
Where are you from?
England.
Perfect. So I'm doing a video on Europeans' view of Americans.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any opinions about that. So, okay.
From Europe.
No, we're not. We left the EU.
No, this is in Europe.
Do you feel like it's a more positive or a negative?
During my 3-month trip to Japan, I asked Japanese people where they want to travel and to, and none of them said USA, citing gun culture and mass shootings as a reason why. That's funny. It's just like America gets a well-deserved bad rep, okay? Well-deserved. It's bad. It's bad out here. It's bad out here if you're poor. Bad everywhere if you're poor, but it's especially bad here when you're poor. It's so bad.
View of Americans.
I'd say negative. I feel like there's a lot going on there that's just a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need to move.
They all hate America till it's their turn to get bitch slapped by the might of the American army. Then they will truly have a reason to hate America. What the fuck? That argument to why you never leave America or you never learn any other language is extremely dumb, as America is big as the whole continent of Europe. So like, yeah, each state is like its own country for comparison. And why would you learn another language if you usually don't have a need to learn it in America? Brother, you literally just described why people have this attitude towards Americans. Like, you literally just perfectly... There's no reason for me to do any commentary on this, okay? Because you just described it. I'm not American? Okay, well, you're LARPing as one real fucking well, okay? I live here, though. Okay.
Move along.
Yeah.
They've like, you know, all the abortion laws coming in.
So politically.
And, yeah, like all the gun crimes.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like I imagine like most of the country is absolutely lovely, but there's some of the morals that are just a little bit off for me. So I struggle with that.
I agree. But I do think you all like proper chatty and that, and you're really energetic.
Yeah.
So it's a positive thing.
I was not expecting that accent out of her. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
But I
lovely
also
to
agree
meet
with that
Amer-
as well.
Yeah.
It's lovely to meet Americans.
Yeah.
Love meeting Americans.
Okay, so why am I so interested in this topic? Well, over the last few years, I have shared my journey moving abroad and looking for a home. Because that home is not the United States. I just don't feel connected to that country. Not as a home, even though I'm coming to realize that it did shape me in many ways. I'm just trying to find my place, but as I've said before, different people will treat you in different ways based off of how they perceive you. The first time I experienced this was during my high school exchange in France when I was 16 years old. Obama was president, and regardless of your personal political opinions or feelings, he was seen in a generally positive light abroad. So in a weird way, even though I was not responsible for electing him, I wasn't even of age to vote, that scored me some cool points. And then on top of it, 16-year-old French kids living in a small town in the west of France thought it was cool that I rode a yellow bus to school and that I had my own personal locker in the United States. So I was benefiting from all these things that I didn't really control at all.
I think there's a difference, though. He's also like talking to kids back then versus like talking to adults now. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is, too.
I get to Argentina a few years later, and I see what it's like to be on the flip side, where the general sentiment was more negative. I'm generalizing here, but there's a bit of an anti-American streak in Argentina. And I think this comes down to the image that the United States has of being a bit of a bully. I mean, Che Guevara is a bit of
a bit of a bully. And he's saying that in Argentina, by the way, which is like, you would assume probably one of the more favorable nations in South America. You know what I mean?
An anti-American, anti-capitalist symbol, right? So that was a very different experience. And now I'm back in Europe, and I've been here for a while, and the perception has changed yet again.
90% of the Dutchmen think Trump is quite strange.
Yeah.
They think Republicans are also quite strange. That Americans are very Puritan.
This might just be me, but I do feel like the image of Americans has deteriorated a little bit over the last 10 years. That might come down to the government that's currently in power. It might come down to social media. This is a very complex thing, so I can't point to a single reason, but it's definitely a feeling that's there. Now, on a personal level, before I realized that this was going on, I was kind of unintentionally overcompensating. I felt like I needed to show that I wasn't the out-of-touch American in Europe. And the same thing happened to me in Argentina. where I was speaking with as much slang as I possibly could that I picked up over there, even when it was just way too much, when it was inappropriate. Que zarpado, boludo, está re piola, pibe, mal. Why was I acting like that? Was there a deeper need within me to be accepted by the people that I am surrounded by? To me, it's a little bit cringy to behave that way because it's overcompensating for something, which in this case was the identity that people were associating with me. Whatever it was, the out of touch, stupid American, whatever it might be. But that's actually a me problem, not a problem with the world. I've come to realize that people can think whatever they want about you. It doesn't change who you are. If people see me as yet another dumb American, it doesn't mean that's true. And also, it doesn't mean all Americans are that way.
Why are we watching Chinese propaganda? Everyone loves America. True. Yeah, I mean, dude, this is like a well-intentioned liberal guy. Look, ultimately, I shit on every American state, I shit on America, and I shit on every country, including Turkey. Okay? Why do I do that? Because I, as a leftist, understand that a nation and the people that live inside of it are two entirely separate things. Our governance and who we are totally separate from one another. Why do I do that? Because I understand that, like, the same motherfuckers living in France have identical problems with their own governments. They have identical problems in the workplace, okay? Same goes for people living in bumfuck Iowa. I mean, I covered Davenport earlier today. I covered Davenport yesterday. I shit on Iowa a lot. I shit on Iowa so much, okay? I nonstop shit on Iowa. It's like it's a state that I routinely slander. But ultimately, I understand, and I know that Iowans also understand, that, like, if you're living in Iowa, I know the issues that you have. They're very similar to the issues that any motherfucker living in Wyoming has or in New York has. Because ultimately, it's all the same. It almost feels like, I hate to see this, I hate to say it, but it almost feels like, I don't know, maybe your class position dictates the struggles that you experience. I don't know, just a thought. I don't know where that came from. But ultimately, it's not the borders, it's not the states, it's not the governments, it's the people. And a lot of people, regardless of where they live, have similar struggles. You know what I mean? Similar struggles. Hating their fucking bosses, not having enough autonomy, struggling with interpersonal relationships, feeling socially isolated, feeling alienated from their labor, and also not really having a say in what happens in their day-to-day lives, and certainly not having really a say in what happens with their government. How people react to that is different. Obviously, different cultures have different reactions to that kind of thing. But ultimately, you know, that's the reason why I feel comfortable shitting on every fucking country.
I think we all know this. We all know that individuals don't necessarily follow the stereotypes, but it's also how people operate in a world of 8 billion people. I can't blame people for having formulated an idea about the place that I'm from, considering how much culture is exported from that place. A part of me used to try to distance myself as much as possible from anything and everything American. But the truth is that at least some part of me, some piece of me has been influenced by my upbringing there. There are a lot of things I don't like, but there are some things that I do. If genuinely being very enthusiastically excited about simple things is the dumb American thing to do, then fine, maybe I'm a dumb American sometimes, because that is something that comes naturally to me. I would rather be myself and accept the consequences than try to be someone that I'm not. And you know what? Everyone wants to feel welcome wherever they are, and especially in their home. But the reality is that that's actually a luxury, not a given. So many immigrants in the United States were never made to feel that way, despite the fact that the country benefited tremendously from all the immigration, all the people that risked their lives to go build something over there. Honestly, I don't have it that bad. Who am I kidding? I don't have it bad at all. It could be so much worse, and oftentimes it is. Exploring this topic has really given me quite a bit of empathy for the immigrants that are very poorly received all around the world. So, what do you think about everything I just shared here? What is your perception of Americans or of Europeans towards Americans? I would be curious to hear, because this is a giant open-ended topic, and I invite all different opinions and perspectives on this. It's just something I love to explore. Also, apologies to all Latin Americans and Canadians who are Americans in their own right. I have decided to use that word in this video.
I mean, he's definitely like a very well-intentioned lib. I like him. I don't give a fuck what Chad is saying. Chad, you suck, okay? He's a normie, dude. He's like a normal guy. You don't have, not every person is going to be fucking talking about how a specter is haunting Europe, okay? Jesus, Lord mercy, you motherfuckers are so ruthless, dude.